Well, I'm right here in the port of Miami, and while here in the tropics, we may not have a traditional white Christmas, as you may say, the holiday spirit and joy is still greatly down in my heart and here all over the world. Now, one tradition that is particularly interesting in Christmas is the idea, of course, of joyous and jolly Santa Claus, or Kris Kringle, or St. Nicholas, or whatever term they like to appendage to that particular person. Now, there is not a particular storyline or plot behind Santa Claus that can be definitively approached. However, there are many different theories and cultural approaches to understanding the traditional Santa Claus, and ultimately, pieces of each have been combined to create the commercial modern Santa Claus that we appreciate, know, and love today. Now, the earliest stories goes back to a more biblical interpretation, in which essentially, in the story of Luke, as many people might know, the three wise men, as they were called, came to this miracle baby, Jesus of Nazareth, and presented him with three gifts, each from the wise men. Now, these wise men were very regal, joyous, in some interpretation, maybe a bit gluttonous individuals who, in presenting these huge, luxurious gifts, were representative of almost this joyous approach and appreciation of giving and wanting to make the young children happy, in the words of some interpreters of the wise men's story. Now, that might be one idea. Another approach is the story of St. Nicholas, while another Christian interpretation, another idea in which a saint who was in the Christian doctrine an actual saint named Nicholas, who traveled all throughout Europe and potentially other parts of the world, where he tried to bring out indigent or poor children and try and give them joy and cheer as well as basic resources during certain parts of the season, of the holiday era, as we would interpret it today. So therefore, there were many different Christian interpretations as well as different cultural add-ons to those ideas that came about throughout this history of Santa. Now, the modern Santa, as many people in America might perceive him, is not necessarily the international Santa. As you go to places like Germany, for example, where although there are differing beliefs, one interpretation is perhaps a little more devilish, in which the idea of Krampus is around, where there's a Santa Claus who will actually go out to deliberately bring coal and possibly terrorize naughty children. Well, in parts of the world, like Portugal, for instance, they believe in Balsnickel, who essentially will bring presents and cheer, but the children, families, must leave out at least a few sticks of butter, and if they don't, guess what? Balsnickel might just steal one of your toes, which is a rather scary story, especially for those children who might think about being a little naughty in Portugal. So overall, there are different ideas and different combinations as to what's made the modern Santa, as well as what Santa is throughout the rest of the world. And regardless of what holiday you celebrate on this winter season, the idea of having holiday spirit and cheer is absolutely important and imperative for everyone to take into account as we move towards the new year. Happy holidays, everyone.